Hello my fellow Godzilla fans, I'm Godzilla Guy G, and I'm back once again to bring you guys a new video. But not just any video, a top 10! And this isn't just your regular top 10 list, oh no. This is my personal top 10 favorite Godzillas. Now very quickly before we start, I just really quickly want to mention some of the factors that I took into account when making this video. Of course, the designs are pretty important, but also other stuff, such as what the Godzillas do in their movies, how much screen time they get, if they have any iconic moments, if they are iconic, etc. And of course, as always, keep in mind that these are just my opinions. These are my personal picks. If you have any different Godzillas that you think are better than the ones I listed, then be sure to tell me about it in the comment section down below. But just remember, we're all entitled to our own opinions. And finally, I have to clarify one thing. This video will only contain Godzillas that have appeared in movies. So no video game Godzillas, comic book Godzillas, etc. Because I'm not as familiar with those sorts of media. But I am with the films. Though this list will not be limited to just live action, and I will be able to include the anime Godzilla, who is not live action. But he won't be on the list. Spoiler alert. So I don't know why I brought that up. Anyways guys, without further ado, here are my top 10 favorite Godzillas. Number 10. King Godzilla. So starting off this list we have the Godzilla from King Kong vs. Godzilla. Now this one might be a surprise to some of you, as I know there's a lot of people who just thinks this Godzilla just looks kinda derpy and, well, pretty cheap. And yeah, they're basically right, but I think that's what I love about this Godzilla's design so much. He just looks so derpy. I mean, just look at that head. He just looks so stupid. But in a good way in my opinion. I've always liked how derpy he looks in this film. And yeah, I don't know, I can't really describe much more than that. He looks so silly, but the movie itself is pretty silly and campy, so in my opinion it works. Also, he does a lot of fun things in the film as well. And he's also in one of the best fight scenes in the entire franchise, so yeah, that definitely helps. Either way though, I'll always love this derp. Number 9. Mirogoji. This Godzilla, who appeared in Godzilla 2000 and Godzilla vs. Megaguirus, is a great redesign for Godzilla in my opinion. In terms of the design, some of my favorite parts of it include the large spines on his back, his more hunched over posture, making him look more like an actual animal, and his red atomic breath, which I know might be controversial because I know there's some people who really didn't like the red atomic breath, but personally I think it looks pretty cool. Red is my favorite color, and I think it was okay for them to switch it up just for this one time. And also, I just think it looks cool, okay? Leave me alone. This is just a really cool and badass looking Godzilla. Despite the fact that the Millennium series is probably my least favorite out of the three. Like, don't get me wrong, I still think it's good, but compared to the Heisei and Showa eras, I just don't think it's as good as those two. Either way though, this is still a great Godzilla redesign, and fun fact, it's actually the suit that is the most intact today, so hey, that's pretty cool. Number 8. GMK Godzilla. The Godzilla who appeared in GMK Giant Monsters All Out Attack is an absolutely evil and ruthless monster, but in the best way possible. In this film, Godzilla went back to his more villainous roots, and this is probably one of the most vindictive and evil versions of Godzilla we've ever seen, or at least tied with the original one from 1954. This is just a terrifying beast of destruction. Seriously, he doesn't even have pupils! But that's actually my favorite part about this Godzilla. The fact that he has no pupils gives him this soulless look. Like, he kind of looks like a horror movie villain, like Michael Myers for example. He just looks all dark inside, and it just looks like he's going to try and kill you. And boy does he do a lot of killing and a lot of ass whooping in the movie he appears in. He is just a terrifying beast. He's also probably, again, one of the most evil ones. For example, in his battle with Baragon, he keeps stomping on Baragon's head and just throwing him around. He doesn't need to do that, but he does it. It's almost like he's getting some sort of enjoyment out of the suffering he's causing. Either way though, this is one of the most evil versions of Godzilla, and I love it. Number 7. Sonshiki Goji. Now, I do want to mention that there were a couple of different Godzilla suits used throughout the Showa era, but this one is my personal favorite. This is one that appeared in Destroy All Monsters, Godzilla's Revenge, Godzilla vs. Hedorah, and Godzilla vs. Gigan. What can I really say about the Godzillas from the Showa era? They are all iconic in their own ways, and this is probably the most iconic one. Well, at least one of the most iconic ones. This one is just so campy and fun, but that's what I love about it. I mean, these movies were basically the time where Godzilla was basically a full-blown hero, and the movies were more kid-friendly. And what can I say, this is just such a fun Godzilla to watch on screen. He has so much character to him, and he has so many great little fights and moments throughout the franchise. He is just a fantastic iteration of Godzilla, and probably one of the ones that most people know about, since, they most likely grew up watching these films. And even though I didn't, this is still one of my favorite Godzillas out there. And of course, I do have to mention this as well. He is the Godzilla that can fly. Do I need any more explanation to why he's on the list? No? Okay, good. Let's move on. Number 6. Shin-Goji. This absolutely terrifying creature appeared in Shin Godzilla, and I have to say, it's probably the most horrific and terrifying looking Godzilla we've ever seen, at least in movies. Like, I said that the GMK Godzilla looked evil. This thing looks like it's the embodiment of evil itself. Seriously, this Godzilla looks like an absolute nightmare. And it almost kind of looks like its pure existence is a nightmare as well. It has these small, stubby arms that it can't really do anything with. It has all these different bulges on its body. It's all unsymmetrical. It's all red over it, at least in its final form. It just looks like this Godzilla's existence is pure agony. And the constant screams he lets out is, well, pretty horrific. But besides being just one of the most terrifying Godzillas ever, he also has some of the most insane and unique powers in any Godzilla medium. At least, again, in the movies. His atomic breath is almost like a laser cutter that first starts out as like this flamethrower kind of weapon, which is awesome in and of itself, but he can also shoot his atomic breath out of his spines and his tail. Like, that is just insane. This Godzilla is not only one of the most horrific Godzillas we've ever seen, but it's also one of the Godzillas with the most unique powers. And honestly, I just love this Godzilla. I would really like to see more of it. Number 5. The Heisei Godzilla. Now, the design of the Heisei Godzilla differs a bit between the movies, but the one I'm talking about here specifically is the one from Godzilla vs. Bylante all the way to Godzilla vs. Space Godzilla. And kinda like the Showa Godzilla I had on the list as well, it's kinda hard to say anything new about this version of Godzilla. I mean, everyone knows who this Godzilla is and what movies he's from. The Heisei era is probably also my favorite era of Godzilla films, just because I think it has the most great Godzilla films, so yeah, that might have something to do with it. Anyway though, this design is just badass. There's not much more for me to say about it. I mean, the design is just fantastic. I mean, I can't really add any more to it than that. But what I can add is that this Godzilla is probably the one who has the most character development through the movies. And that sounds weird because, I mean, it's a giant monster, but he legit has character development. Like, the Godzilla we see in Godzilla vs. Bylante is a different Godzilla to the one that we see in Godzilla vs. Space Godzilla. He actually changes. He isn't evil, but he isn't necessarily good either. He's kind of a neutral force, if you get my meaning. And that's pretty cool, honestly. But anyway though, this is still one of my favorite Godzillas ever, and I think it would be a dishonor if I didn't at least put him in the top 5. What can I say, this Godzilla is truly awesome. Number 4. Shoda Goji. Surprise surprise, the original Godzilla shows up on this list. I mean, he had to. This is the original Godzilla. The first one. The one that has laid the groundwork for every Godzilla after it. I mean, what can I really say about this guy that hasn't already been said? He's iconic, he's terrifying, he is very effective at destroying and killing, and most importantly, this is probably the Godzilla with the least amount of personality in the series, but that's also kind of the point of it. He isn't supposed to have a personality. The atomic bomb doesn't have a personality, and this Godzilla doesn't have a personality either. It makes sense. Despite this, however, he is definitely one of the scariest Godzilla. And this again is probably because the movie actually is really dark and shows a very realistic aspect to a Godzilla attack. So yeah, I mean, there's not much more for me to say here. This guy is a classic and he should be respected, because if it wasn't for him, no other Godzillas would exist. Number 3. Dogoji. That's right guys, the most recent interpretation of Godzilla makes the top 3. And really, it's mainly because I think this is probably the perfect modern Hollywood design for Godzilla that we'll get in a while. Also, I'm putting the one from King of the Monsters here specifically and not the one from 2014, because the designs are a little bit different, and I think the one from King of the Monsters improved on some of the stuff I wasn't the biggest fan of on the 2014 one. Just to take a few examples, this Godzilla has bigger spines, his feet look more, well, normal and not like elephant feet, and his atomic breath is a whole lot brighter and looks more concentrated. Overall, this is just a fantastic looking Godzilla design, but it isn't just his design that's awesome, he also has so many great moments in his film as well. Such as, for example, when he tears off one of King Ghidorah's heads, or of course when he roars at the end of the film. That is iconic. And overall, I don't even know what to say here. He just looks awesome, and that's the main reason why I'm putting him so high on this list. And I, for one, cannot wait to see more of this Godzilla in Godzilla vs. Kong next year. It's going to be awesome! Oh, and yeah, Fire Godzilla is cool as well. I mean, obviously. I just thought I'd really quickly mention that because, well, just look at him. He looks badass. Oh, and speaking of Godzillas who are on fire, number 2, Godzilla. The final Godzilla of the Heisei era. Seriously, look at this absolute unit. This is obviously the inspiration for Fire Godzilla, and my god does he look awesome. I mean, this Godzilla is literally dying, but he is not going to go out with a whimper, no, he is going to go out with a bang. I mean, the design here is pretty obvious why I like it so much. I mean, you take Godzilla, an already badass design, and then you literally have him burning, and well, yeah, I'm probably going to love that a lot. However, that isn't the only reason why I have him this high on the list. I also think that this Godzilla, while being one of the most badass, is also probably the most sympathetic, because he's the Godzilla that has to watch his son die. He's the Godzilla that actually cries. But it's also the Godzilla that literally has no mercy and will kill any opponent he comes into contact with. What more can I really say? This is just one of the most badass Godzillas ever, and I thought that he deserved the number 2 spot on this list. And if there was ever a definitive ending for the Godzilla franchise, I think this Godzilla would be the perfect one to end it all with. And yet, despite all of that, there is still one Godzilla that I think is better than all the ones I've already counted. This is my all-time favorite Godzilla. And can you guys guess who it is? I mean, it's a pretty, universally loved version of Godzilla. He's very powerful. He shows why he's the king of the monsters. And he's from a really fun Godzilla movie. Can you guys guess it? Can you guys guess who it is? Come on, it's pretty obvious. Okay, I'ma just reveal it. My number 1 spot goes to Zilla from the 1998 Godzilla movie. Oh no, I'm just kidding. Please don't dislike the video. Stay with me. I'm just kidding. Because the action numbers 1 spot goes to Final Goji. Here it is, ladies and gentlemen, my all-time favorite Godzilla. The Godzilla from Godzilla Final Wars. This is probably the most badass and unstoppable Godzilla we've ever seen. Well, maybe besides the anime Godzilla, at least in being unstoppable, but this is definitely the most cold-blooded, badass Godzilla I think I've ever seen. I mean, this guy is an unstoppable force of nature. He isn't on humanity's side, he isn't on the alien side, he is on his own side. And you better not stay in the way of him because he is just going to beat you down. Seriously, this guy does so much ass whooping in his one movie appearance. Like, it is incredible. And if you don't believe me, let me just give you a little list, a little rundown of every kaiju in this movie that Godzilla either defeats or kills. Okay, here we go. He blows the first Gigan's head clean off with his atomic breath. He kills Zilla in a scene that was oh so satisfying. He beat Kamonga. He basically one-hit KO'd Kamikuras. He beat Anguirus, King Caesar, and Rodan in a 1v3 fight. He basically threw Ebra into Hedorah and then blasted them both away with his atomic breath. And he killed Kaiser Ghidorah, which at the time was probably, maybe, the most powerful kaiju in the movies we've ever seen. And okay, with the last one he did get some help from the humans, but let's not talk about that. Whew, that was a long list. Anyway though, I don't think I need to go on to why this Godzilla is my favorite. He's just an overall badass, and he proves that in his movie. And this Godzilla, right now at least, is my all-time favorite Godzilla. And, well, it's gonna take a great design, a great Godzilla with a great personality, to beat out Final Goji. So those were my top 10 favorite Godzillas. But my question for you guys is, who is your favorite Godzilla? And did you agree with my list? Be sure to let me know down in the comment section down below. And as always, if you liked the video, a like is always appreciated. And if you enjoyed this video and you enjoyed the rest of my stuff, then be sure to subscribe to my channel. Either way guys, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.